Hey guys, we are going to be covering a story that I've been meaning to cover. I actually made a video on this, but it was updating so fast I couldn't catch up, so I figured I should wait till they conclude something. And they did find the ship, long story short, of this submarine, or sub, as some people call it. They call it the Titanic sub because it's supposed to finally find the Titanic. Apparently it has gone down there before, but with some regulation issues. And apparently, for me, the real story on the business side is who is really responsible for this? Was it the company as a whole or the owner? So all this time we thought they were stuck in the submarine, but apparently that wasn't the case. So let's get started, guys. All right, so this is the article. Okay, so landing frame and rear cover found, debris field in hunt for missing sub. So looks like they found the submarine. And I have some stories on that too, guys. So a debris field has been discovered in the search for Titan, with a rescue expert telling Sky News that the missing sub's landing frame and rear cover have been found. So this story is now outdated. All crew and passengers on board Titanic are believed to be dead. So that's the update, guys. So let me read this article, and let me read the last article. So a remote operated underwater vehicle on the seafloor made the breakthrough, and the U.S. Coast Guard is evaluated the information ahead of a news conference at 8 p.m. UK time tonight. All right, so that was yesterday, I believe, as I'm reading this. So David Mearns, a rescue expert who knows 2 of the 5 men on board, has received a WhatsApp message suggesting 2 crucial parts of the system has been detected, but the hull is yet to be found. So this is the missing submersible, Ocean Gate Titan. So this is what it looks like, I'm guessing. The length is 6.7 meters or miles, or yeah, meters. I believe it's meters. The depth is of 4,000 meters. So I guess that's the depth of where it is or how far it can go. I believe it said it could go 12,000, but at least that was the goal. But we don't see that right now. We don't see that it's going 12,000. So guys, most submarines can't go 12,000 feet underwater, and that's maybe you're a military submarine, and even that is risky. Where the Titanic is located is very, very low, but apparently I've heard that they've been there before, or at least they've been down there a few times, but I don't think they've actually made it to the Titanic. They found the Titanic by accident, trying to find something else, right? So it was actually discovered by accident, but there were people actually looking for the Titanic before all this stuff happened, right, guys? So, so when click to clarify that, so the weight is 10,432 kilograms. Speed 3.4 miles per hour. So this submarine slowly goes down. And the problem with this submarine, guys, before I continue, is you can't open it from the inside. So the person who built this, the billionaire, his team, for some odd reason, he decided to leave it like this after all the complaints that were going on about how unsafe this was. So apparently a few people went down. I think it was a guy, a woman. They told their stories and saying, hey, I don't feel comfortable in this, and I hear cracking noises in the windows. It was like some Home Depot grade windows. All right, guys. So this whole thing was built from Home Depot parts for the most part. And that was the thing that shocked me the most. It's not. I don't think that's how it works, guys. And he had warnings from his actual employees, scientists who or experts, engineers who knew what they were talking about. So it's not like he didn't get any warnings. He also got a lawsuit, and things like that. He settled it privately with the people who with concerns, and their lives were at risk. And I don't know what to tell you guys. So this is basically how this all started. And if you can believe that he decided to go again with I think it was a guy from Afghan, or he was from the Middle East basically, with his 19-year-old son. They were both in a submarine, I believe, an American and a British person. I'm not sure about a Canadian, but they were like close to the Canadian waters, I believe. And the other issue is Canada, like apparently allowed them to go to these waters. And I also heard, I'll give you guys some updates on that after this, but what actually happened with the forms and things like that. So Mr. Mearns told Sky News they don't use phrases like debris field unless there's no chance of a recovery of the men alive. A debris field implies a breakup of the submersible that really sort of indicates what is the worst case scenario, which is a catastrophic failure. And generally, that's an implosion. So a submarine implosion is pretty much instant because it's so fast. It's like an instant explosion, only it's imploding, guys. So think about that, right? And if for the people who are in it, they're done instantly, right? So the only saving grace is that it would have been immediate, literally in milliseconds, and the men wouldn't have known what was happening. So they didn't really know when they died, right? It was just done. So Mr. Mearns knew British billionaire Hamish Harding and the French submersible pilot Paul Henry Nargeolet, who were on the voyage. In an emotive interview, he said his worst fears have now been realized, and he had been praying for a different outcome. Two friends of mine are gone, Mr. Mearns said. So that's so sad. Let's hear it a little bit. This is the kind of submarine. This is him talking. Yeah, so the Titan, as you see, is basically, look at that. It's basically like a big steel. It's steel, but it's the parts that control it. Like the guy has like an Xbox controller, and that's already been known to disconnect from the Bluetooth or whatever he's using. And that's ridiculous. And it should be the highest grade stuff, especially if you have billions of dollars or even millions of dollars invested. You can buy a submarine, guys. Like you can get the military like people to get one for you. Maybe you can work something out. Um, maybe get some parts from an actual submarine. Making sure everything's new. It takes time, but he's been working on this for years, and he's been doing this since I think 2018, if I'm not mistaken. And people have gone down, but so far no deaths. No deaths yet until possibly now. And then he has windows from Home Depot. A lot of parts on this ship was is from Home Depot. So yeah, so this is, as he said, you're supposed to spend no more than an hour or two in there. So they're underwater for way too long. So most people assume that they probably died, at least suffocated. And there's some updates on that. So yeah, so the people on Titan has been there for days, assuming that the submarine didn't implode already. Again, this submarine was not built for that level of depth in the sea. So officials are yet to confirm whether the debris is linked to the missing submersible, but nothing less. It is a potential breakthrough in an incredibly urgent round-the-clock rescue effort. The ROV, the Rove, which is equipped with cameras and sonar, had successfully managed to reach the seafloor. Admiral Sir James Burnell Nugent, former commander-in-chief fleet of the Royal Navy, told Sky News that the nature of the announcement suggests that this debris is in some way connected with the Titan. He explained there is, of course, a large debris field around the Titanic, and the various things were seen retrieved from the Titanic have come from the debris field. It's it's like a field around the main ship. Maybe they couldn't get to the actual ship, or it was easier to get to debris. Who knows? Hopefully, a drone, right? It covers several hectares. But I think if this was Titanic debris, the Coast Guard would have made a distinction in the announcement. I think, on balance, this is probably grim news and suggests the Titan might have imploded under the immense pressure of the seawater while it was on its way down. So it was already happening. So let's see what he has to say.
Father Neptune has absolutely no patience for humanity. If we get it wrong, we get it wrong, and we pay the price, which is if we play in this game, we
Yeah, so you get it wrong, you pay the price, and you can't be going to Home Depot, guys, for submarine.
absolutely have to be sure of ourselves. And what does it mean? Well, we know over 50 years we figured out a system to do that. I mean, we say we have rules and regulations. Well, they come from somewhere. They come because of mistakes, because of things we have learned, and we embody that in a process that we call a process of certification.
What specifically was it about?
So yeah, some regulations out there, a lot are safety regulations, guys. So make sure you follow them if you're building something like this. Should be obvious, but again, I'll talk about it later. But
The submersible, the Titan, that worried you? Was it construction or safety features? What was it?
Like David was saying, it is a novel concept. It is very different. It is very large. It is for 5 people to go to 4,000 meters.
he said 5 people.
It needs space, and that adds a lot of complexity and something that nobody's done. I mean, nobody has made a 5-person submersible going 4,000 meters. It does push the envelope, and you've got to do the numbers right.
So yes, this is ridiculous. The other thing should have been the strongest possible submarine ever built, right? And I heard it was the size of a minivan. So that's not exactly the best type of submarine. And the Xbox controller, guys, I can't get over that. What? That makes no sense. Okay, Titan had disappeared on Sunday in the Atlantic Ocean, 435 miles south of Newfoundland, Canada, during the expedition dive to see the wreck of the Titanic. Also on Thursday, a deep-sea robot called Victor 6000 hit it to the search area. It has remotely controlled arms that can cut cables and perform other maneuvers to release a stuck vessel, and is able to go deeper than the Titanic itself. 5 men are on board, and alongside Mr. Harding and Mr. Hargilot are the British businessman Shahzada Dawood and his son Suleiman. So the British businessman and his son. So they went from the Middle East, according to this article, I guess. So I think the son was 19, if I'm not mistaken, and the mother's still there. She has to deal with this, and alongside Ocean's Gate U.S. based chief executive and founder Stockton Rush. So the U.S. Coast Guard had predicted the air supply in the vessel would run out at 12:08 p.m. UK time on Thursday. Ships, planes, and underwater craft from multiple countries were deployed to the area, with rescuers searching a remote part of the Atlantic Ocean, more than twice the size of the U.S. state of Connecticut, in waters as deep as 4,020 meters or 13,200 feet. So that is insane. So basically, you have the area is bigger than Connecticut, plus you have to go down 3,000 feet on top of that. So there's a wide range of where they could have been, and it couldn't have been easy, and you would need a huge team to search for something like that. So basically we know by now that it's been pretty much determined that they're dead. We just don't know how it happened completely yet until we found the debris. So this is the update. 5 people dead, including a billionaire father and son, in the implosion of the vessel near the Titanic wreck. The discovery of debris from the submarine comes from, as a senior official in the Navy confirmed, that an existing secret system destined to pick up audio heard a sound consistent with an implosion. So they already heard the sound. The sound was heard near where the submersible lost communication on Sunday. So while the officials said the sound was not definitive, the Navy said it was shared the information immediately with the incident commander. A Navy statement said that the information was considered with the compilation of additional acoustic data provided by other partners, and the decision was made to continue our mission as a search and rescue and make every effort to save the lives on board. On Thursday, Rear Admiral John Mugar, who led the search, confirmed in a news conference that a remotely operated vehicle had discovered the noise cone of the lost submersible about 487 meters or 1,600 feet from the bow of the Titanic on the sea floor. Further debris was found nearby. The Rear Admiral Mugar added, in consulting with experts from Unified Command, the debris is consistent with the catastrophic loss of the pressure chamber. So that chamber that holds all the pressure couldn't handle it. It was too weak. Too much pressure. The pressure down there is insane. Just wasn't built correctly. It was already too many warnings. The people warned him. On behalf of U.S. Coast Guard and entire Unified Command, I offer deepest condolence to the families. I can only imagine what this has been like for them, and hope this discovery provides some solace during this difficult time. Well, it won't, but at least not now. Only time will allow them to get over it. Not but they will always remember and always be, you know, they call it post-traumatic stress, but just the feeling that that they have right now, the families, is probably not going to go away anytime soon. And you know, all we can do is pray for them and pray for the families and loved ones who have to deal with this because of some irresponsible CEO, Stockton Rush, I believe. I believe that was him or someone else. I forgot. But anyway, minutes before the news conference, Ocean Gate, which owned the submersible, released a statement that said, "We now believe that our CEO Stockton Rush, Shahzada Dawood, and his son Solomon Dawood, Hamish Harding, and Paul Henry Nergalet have sadly been lost. These men were true explorers who shared a distinct spirit of adventure and a deep passion for exploring and protecting the world's oceans. Our hearts are with these five souls and every member of their families during this tragic time. We deeply we grieve the loss of life and joy they brought to everyone they knew." So Sky's U.S. correspondent James Matthews, who was the U.S. Coast Guard, Guard's news conference in Boston, asked Rear Admiral Merger whether any trace of the passengers have been found. He replied, "This is incredibly complex operating environment on the seafloor. Over 2 miles beneath the surface, the remote operating vehicle has been searching and it is highly capable, and we've been able to classify parts of the pressure chamber for the Titan submersible." So we saw the video. So basically, we all know what happened. Everybody knows what happened, and to me, there's two real stories here, guys. And to me, the real story is obviously the CEO and what happened. Why did the CEO slash owner decide to ignore all the warning signs and all the warning signs related to the lawsuit? I heard his own scientist or engineer warn him, saying, "Hey, we can't do this. This is dangerous." The guy fired him on the spot, told him to leave, pack your bags, you're done, you know. And then this happens. I mean, that sucks. Let's look at this video, see what this update looks like. It's an ad.
they don't use phrases like debris field unless there's no chance of a recovery of the men alive. A debris field implies a breakup of the submersible, and at that depth, because we know that they lost communications with it at about 3,300 meters. Titanic is just 3,750. So that
3,000 meters
really sort of indicates what is the worst case scenario, which is a catastrophic failure. Generally, that's an implosion. The only saving grace about that is that it would have been immediate, literally in milliseconds, and the men would have had no idea what was happening. That was my fear on Monday morning.
Was it?
When I got the call at 7 o'clock that Hamish was missing in a submersible, and then they told me where it was, the dive on Titanic. It was the first dive. That's a bad sign. That it was on ascent, that's a bad sign. And where it comes, we're lost. So my worst fears, as of Monday, have now been realized. And the only thing is we've gone through these 4 days of concern and worry.
I mean, that really sucks, guys. His worst fears were realized. He knew it was risky.
And hope and praying that the outcome would be different. So, yeah, 2 friends of mine are gone.
And that's that. Sucks. And yeah, he just got the call. He's like, he just knew. I'm sure he knew that it was going to happen. And earlier on Thursday, it had been announced that a debris field had been found at the search site. David Burns, a rescue expert who knew 2 of the 5 men on board, had told Sky News that Titan's landing frame and rear cover had been identified. 5 days have passed since Titan's passengers embarked on a 2-hour dive to see the wreck of the Titanic. Teams from multiple countries had searched thousands of square miles looking for the minivan-sized vessel. On Wednesday, the U.S. Coast Guard had forecast that the vessel's supply would run out by 12:08 p.m. UK time today. So we read that earlier. So basically, it's just repeating itself now. But long story short, this is, the owner was definitely responsible for this, the CEO, and he unfortunately passed as well. If he didn't go with them, I guess he was the only one that could operate it, or maybe he just wanted to go with them because fellow billionaires, they always hang out, right? And I think this is the video, I think, of the actual.
This morning, an ROV, or remote operated vehicle, from the vessel Horizon Arctic discovered the tail cone of the Titan submersible approximately 1,600 feet from the bow of the Titanic on the seafloor. The ROV subsequently found additional debris. In consultation with experts from within the Unified Command, the debris is consistent with the catastrophic loss of the pressure chamber. Upon this determination, we immediately notified the families. On behalf of the United States Coast Guard and the entire Unified Command, I offer my deepest condolences to the families.
So that was the announcement, and that's the Coast Guard. But I also heard the Navy, U.S. Navy, likely detected the catastrophic implosion of the Titan submarine soon after it went missing on Sunday. So the U.S. Navy knew about it, right? Because they know more than anyone probably about how risky this submarine going down would be. So why didn't they say anything, right? So basically they discovered it already. but that was days before it was announced. I'm talking like on that Sunday, or if not right after that Sunday. It says it's likely that they detected this implosion of this Titanic submarine soon after it went missing. So on Sunday, so they left Sunday. The Navy knew it was gone on Sunday. So that's really unfortunate. Imagine being the Navy, and you know about what happened, but you don't officially say anything, and let everybody go through all this, trying to figure out if they're alive or not. Can they breathe? Do they have enough oxygen? How much air do they have? They only had a certain amount of time before they can actually go in. Like get out of there, right? On top of that, you obviously couldn't open it from the inside. But even if they did open it from the inside, it would be very, very difficult to get out of there, because the pressure is so bad, they wouldn't be surviving anyway. So they're pretty much stuck there until somebody like pushes them out there. And because when you're that deep, you can't just go outside, right? So even if you can't open it from the inside, you're still like 3,000-4,000 feet under, maybe less than that, but it's still too much for the body to handle. And yes, the submersible, the Titan, failed to withstand the pressure from the immense sea in the Atlantic. And again, the CEO himself knew it was risky. I know he did, because he got many warnings, right? And unfortunately, we can't really go after him because he's gone with the submersible, the billionaire and his son. And yeah, it's sad. And the mothers, the families, they have to live with this, and knowing, I'm sure there's going to be some lawsuit, guys. Like this is going to be big. I think this is a big story, not because they're billionaires. I think it's a big story because the guy responsible for this is the one that was stubbornly did not enhance its features with military grade stuff, or he didn't even properly consult, or if he did, he ignored the warning signs of his scientists. He fired one of them, and he got his parts from Home Depot, guys. Home Depot. That's insane. And I think the window is made out of plexiglass or something like that. I'm not sure what exactly that is. I think it's maybe bulletproof type glass, or maybe not even that. But if there's a standard for a submarine window, make sure you follow that standard, right? And make sure you know, like, okay, how much pressure can this window take? What type of screws do I need? What type of everything? Just on the parts that connect the window to the submarine would be very, very an immense project, because you have to make sure there's no leaks or anything like that. So I'm not an engineer. I'm just imagining how intense the project would be to build an actual submarine that can survive that. The submarine has to be so strong. It has to be able to be strong under pressure. And most submarines can't go that far anyway. Even the military submarines, they mostly just stay like at a certain depth throughout. They're usually there. They're not like they're not probably even 5,000 feet underneath the sea. They're probably just maybe 4,000, 5,000 max, because they don't need to go down that much unless it's some type of war situation and they have to hide or something like that. Because there's other international submarines there. You could find a Russian, you could find a Chinese. It could be risky. So, but those submarines are built for that. This submarine is not built for war. You need a submarine that's built for war in order to survive, to have the maximum assurance, the maximum assurance that your passengers will be safe. And he should never have brought those passengers on board, because it was just way too risky. The lawsuits would have been through the roof, which it now will be. Now, at the moment, whoever's left with the company is definitely not going to survive this. Like, there's no way. I don't see how. If this company survives this, then, you know, it'll be some form of corruption or something. Because I don't see. I know it wasn't the people who work there's fault per se. They probably tried to warn him, but they should have left. I wouldn't have wanted to be a part of a project that I knew could potentially kill people with ridiculously made parts from Home Depot, an Xbox controller that already has flaws. By the way, it's been reported that Xbox has consistently had flaws with their controllers and their connection. So if you're steering a submarine that's supposed to, or submersible, that's supposed to connect all the time, if he lost connection, if it's the Xbox fault, for one, Microsoft would look worse. But Microsoft would be like, yeah, you're not supposed to use that kind of stuff on a submarine. It's not our fault. And it isn't our fault. But they have crappy controllers, so who cares? Bashing on Xbox now. But you get my point. So, yeah. I don't know what to tell you guys. I just feel bad for the families, and I hope the families can get their deserved payment in some way. Like, oh, they're billionaire families, don't need money. Well, maybe not everybody there's a billionaire. I think maybe they are. I don't know, but it doesn't matter, because the company is responsible for it, and they have to compensate the families in some way, right? And it's really it's such a level of irresponsibility that I haven't seen in a long time, right? In the sense that from a corporation that handles people's lives. Now, we all know that SpaceX will have to have similar risky situations where you are very, very accountable, and the customers have to rely on the rockets not exploding and things like that. And Elon Musk, for example, has been doing a good job making sure the rate of explosions decrease to zero on a consistent basis, and be able to come back to Earth on a consistent basis. So that will be the determining factor of the SpaceX. So this project was, Elon Musk would have laughed at this project. There's no way Elon Musk would invest in something like this. I wouldn't. If I knew that the warnings and how it was built in the Xbox controller and all that stuff, I'm like, what? Okay, so you're gonna have people go down there and risk their lives to find the Titanic. And I've also heard that the mother, I think, of the father and son, the mother herself is actually a descendant of, I think, his great grandmother or father, who were in there at an older age, by the way. So they already had a kid. So, and they went down with the Titanic in their bed and decided to just go down together. How romantic. Now you have this happen, where the son and father went down to find the Titanic. They probably know that story from her great grandparents. So maybe they just wanted to. Maybe they're inspired by the movie. Maybe they're inspired by the story. Maybe the billionaire was inspired by the wife's story. I'm sure the wife didn't really want them to go down there. She wasn't there. So, but can you imagine how weird that is? Like, you had family members back in the day who were their great grandparents or great great grandparents. They went down on the actual Titanic. They're still down there, right? And with a diamond somewhere down there, right? Apparently. And so, and then your own husband and son goes down there and dies. Can you imagine how that must feel, right? So that woman has a lot of lawyers to hire. Let's put it that way. And they're not going to get away with this one. There's no way they can get away with this. Now, people have gotten away with worse, but again, only time will tell. So thank you guys for watching. I hope the story was, I guess, informing you about something, right? Because I know the story has been around for a while now. I'm a little late publishing it because of my schedule, but I hope you like, subscribe, hit that bell for notifications, and I will be back with more stories. See you.